What's good, everybody? Cameron Tadazi, music editor with Cosign Magazine, checking in at the one and only Artistic Visual Studios right here in Dallas, Texas. Right next to me, I have my man Ishmael Davison. If you have never heard of him, you have definitely heard of his work. So let's go ahead and get started. How you feeling today?
Doing well, man. Tired. It's a little hot outside.
It is just a little hot. It's ridiculously hot out.
Yeah.
But let's get started with these questions, my good man. So you are a Dallas native, is that correct?
No, actually. I'm out from West Texas, so out there by Abilene, Midland area, small town called San Angelo.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved out here about 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about growing up there?
Oh man, there's not a lot out there. That's why that was one of the main reasons I had to get out. There's not a lot going on. Same people doing the same thing. So.
Okay, so 2010, what brought you to Dallas then?
I went to school at Collin County Community College. They had a music program up there, and did my associates up there, and just started getting my feet wet out here.
Okay. So what were your favorite kind of hangout spots around that time?
Man, 2010, 11, we were up in Denton a lot. I got introduced to 88 Killa, Blue the Misfit, like JT and Bobby and all those guys. Like we were hanging out in Denton and doing a lot of stuff in Denton. Yeah, that was the main hangout spot.
Okay,
Yeah.
Some heavy hitters out there. So what are your favorite kind of pastimes to do when you're not working, of course?
Man, watching anime. That's my big thing.
Me too.
Yeah, man.
What's your favorite anime?
Ooh, I just got back into Attack on Titan. They came out the new season.
Okay.
So I'm on that. Dragon Ball Super just finished up, so I'm just, whatever comes on really.
I'm more of a Hunter versus Hunter kind of guy myself.
Yeah, see, I wish they had kept it going. The writer dude keeps abandoning the show, and so, yeah, I can go on and on about that, but yeah.
That's cool. So, who are some of your favorite kind of artists nowadays, like both local or not local?
Oh, man. Locally, I'm liking what Tay Money's doing.
Okay.
She's like, I think she's really tight. A lot of the female acts around the city are actually on fire. I'm liking what's happening around the city, especially when it comes to female acts. As far as like major, I don't know. The Travis just came out, so I was jamming that.
Travis Flames.
Yeah. I like how he just really brought it back home to Texas, and you just hear a lot of references to that. I think that's really tight. Because, a lot of industry people, they leave and they're just like, I'm not talking anything about back home. So I like what he's doing.
What about producers? Like any producers that you are checking for or find inspiration through?
Man, one of my dearest friends, S1, he's he did a bunch of stuff with Kanye and Beyonce and a lot of people. But yeah, he's from around these parts, so we link up, and he just puts me on a lot of different things, a lot of different production stuff. Yeah, he's a big inspiration of mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been producing?
Seriously, since I was about 15.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm 20. I turn 26 tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Season vet then.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Okay. So how does one make that transition between being a producer kind of behind the scenes and actually being in the forefront?
I'm still like in that transition, but I feel like it's more of a mindset saying like, hey, I want to be visibly seen more. And then find because I was so used to being in the shadows and I liked it there. And then you realize, hey, I don't really get recognition back here. And as you get older and the way, especially now, the way everything being so visual, you kind of have to be seen in order for your situation to grow.
Just for branding purposes, people kind of to put a face to the brand and a face to the name. So I definitely completely understand that. You worked with a lot of people, such as local legend Bobby Sessions, who's making a huge splash with Def Jam. You've also worked with Lil Wayne. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Man, I did that. Let's see, I was a year out of high school, I think.
What?
Yeah, I was like 17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so it's kind of a weird story. The guy that I had collaborated on the record with kind of like ran off with it. So, I didn't get all the credibility behind it.
Right.
Being 17, fresh out of high school from a small town, I knew nothing about the industry. All I knew was like Wayne rapping on my beat, and this is tight. Get you a little bit of clout back home, but that's as far as it. It's something cool for the resume.
I mean, it's definitely closer than a lot of other people have gotten, so there's definitely nothing to shake a stick at.
Yeah, and I was on the Carter 4, so that was tight. Yeah.
People gonna sleep on the Carter 4. Like, people are very overly critical of Carter 4, I feel like.
Yeah, for me personally, the Carter 3 was my favorite because it was, everybody like slanders the Carter 3, but I'm like, he had every big name producer on there, every like collaboration that was hot at the time. Like that was like, I feel like the pinnacle of Wayne for me. Aside from like all the mixtape stuff, obviously.
A lot of people didn't like it because they felt like it was definitely the most commercial of all the Carters. But you gotta have a little commercial every now and then.
I mean, he had beats from like Kanye on there. He had Swiss Beats on there.
David Banner
was on it. Yeah. David Banner didn't come out for nobody, so it was that was pretty tight.
Okay. So, who's been your favorite person to work with?
Ooh, favorite person to work with. I'd have to say 88 Killer. I don't know if y'all familiar with 88 Killer, but that's like my man. That's like my right-hand man. He's like, he gets it. And we're very in sync, especially when it comes to the studio. Like, we're kind of on the same wavelength of like, hey, this is what we need to be doing. This is what it needs to sound like. And the process is so smooth. And especially like the whole producer-artist combo, you have to have that.
Right.
That singularity.
For sure. So let's talk about the music a little bit. So the EP is called Marina's Melody. Can you give us some background on that name for the EP and the project?
Yeah, so Marina was a girl that like, when I was in high school, she introduced me to house music.
Okay.
Yeah, and that like opened my mind up to so many other things. And she just was a pivotal person. Like I was in love with the girl or whatever. So, when you're first get introduced to somebody, or you start trying to find like, hey, what's your commonalities? Like, I like music, you like music, what do you listen to,
what's your favorite color?
Yeah, all the basic shit. So it's like she put me on house music, and her being from New York, that was like, she was going to all the warehouse parties and things like that, and so that was pretty life-changing. And so that whole album the whole album is kind of like an ode to her.
Okay.
More or less, yeah.
Y'all keep in contact still?
Yeah, every now and again. Yeah, she's on the bigger and better things. So
I got you.
I gotta let her be over there.
Well, just to talk about the EP a little bit more, one of my favorite artists in Dallas is featured very heavily on the project. Be My Fiasco.
Okay, yeah.
Very huge fan of her. Her vocals are amazing. She has one of the clearest, crispest voice I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
So was there a reason why you picked her for the project?
Man, one of the like themes I wanted to keep in the project was like women of color, right? And she's also one of my favorite singers, and we had worked on some other stuff previously. Her last project I had a hand in. Most of her stuff I have a hand in. And she gets it when it comes to music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, here's the idea, and I just kind of let her do her thing, and it always comes out a hit for the most part.
She kind of like floats on records, like it's kind of hard to explain. Like she's like a gusty kind of like breeze.
Yeah,
like you feel her presence, but you know what I'm saying.
I like that.
Makes
sense?
I
like that. Yeah, that's accurate.
What's been your favorite track? I know for me, it's between Flashlight and Holding Aces.
Okay. I feel like Holding Aces is one of my favorites. I'm gonna say Holding Aces also, because that was like one of the first tracks that I had did for the project, and I feel like it was criminally slept on because it was so new sonically, like a lot of the things I was doing on there. But people, I think once they listen to it, they'll understand, especially like with the explanation of like, hey, this is what this is. There's lots of genre bending in it. Like,
right. Oh yeah.
So that was my big thing. I didn't want to be like, hey, here's house music, or here's R&B music. I want it to kind of like sit together well. Yeah.
If I had to describe probably the EP, it's probably like soulful house music, because it has like the EMD kind of feel, but it still has like splashes of like soul throughout it. Yeah. And that's kind of another reason why. Is that kind of the reason why you kind of picked Be My Fiasco on there? Because she has very soulful.
Perfect blend. Like, I'm glad you get it.
Oh yeah, I'm a music person.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's I wanted to bring a lot of the stuff that happened in the '90s.
Right.
Back to with some of the stuff that's happening now, obviously. But like, I feel like black people in electronic music was a big thing in the '90s, and I feel like now we get to this time and age, and it's a lot of other people with come-overs and just kind of took over the culture, and I want to still like pay homage to that stuff.
Okay.
A lot of black pioneers are responsible for house music.
So, sure. For sure.
We're
responsible for a lot of music, jazz, R&B.
Yeah.
We're responsible for a lot. So I
definitely
applaud you on that, and I appreciate that you're very vocal on that.
Yeah.
Next question. I want to say, can you walk us through your creative process?
Man, it's literally just put on anime and start playing around with sounds until something sounds good. Until it like physically makes me stand up and I'm moving around the studio. That's when it like resonates with me. That's like the big part of it. It has to physically make me like get up and move around.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not too complex. I don't need candles or lights. The whole
burn
thing.
sage.
Yeah, no, I don't need none of that. It's just like I just need a good pair of speakers and some anime on, and we can make something happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say that I'm not too familiar with the process of producing and how to be a producer and be a good producer. I'm more on the artist development side. So if I'm a brand new producer trying to get exposure, trying to meet people, work with artists, what would you say is the advice that you can give to me for that? As far as like people knowing me, getting work.
Yeah.
How does that kind of differ from being on the artist side?
I'd say quit now. That'd be my advice.
Really?
Yeah, but that's for another conversation. But anyway, yeah, I would just connect with people. You just have to really network. As like cliche as that is, like you just have to reach out to people and just be like, hey, I got production. Would you like any? That's the big thing. Because I know for me, growing up in a small town, it was me and one other dude in town that made beats, pretty much. And so it was like, I had all these instrumentals, and I would press up CDs and just pass them out to anybody that was like rapping at that time, like the little high school like freestyle, and I'm like, oh okay, like here you go, here's some CDs, and then they freestyle to it, and it just was back then at that point in time. It was that simple, didn't need cloud, didn't like need all that weird shit, but just reaching out to people is the most important thing. Having good relationships. Like building relationships and maintaining the relationships. I'm terrible at maintaining the relationship, but
that's definitely crucial.
Yeah,
definitely crucial.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, how would you've been in Dallas for about 8 years now?
Yeah.
So can you describe like the culture of Dallas music wise?
Oh, it's beautiful right now. It's beautiful right now. Like especially like when I moved out here, it was not still. But I know there was like a dead period, and then when I got here, it started kind of picking back up. So to watch it grow is awesome. Like there's, especially now with the spotlight being on it, all the major acts like Post, Bobby.
Oh, for sure.
All the doll female rappers or whatever, like they're all coming out.
Doll.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I can't remember all the time, but yeah, like there's so much happening. There's lots of guys that are even Fort Worth, like you got the Go Yayos and then Lil Cobain. Like there's so many different people that haven't even popped on, the major scale.
Yeah.
But they have deals in place and they have situations in place. I think that's pretty tight. Because even 3 years ago, that was not happening. So it's Leon Bridges. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's lots of talent, and we're seeing all of that talent encompassed within Dallas. So I think it's a beautiful thing.
Do you feel like, and I hear this all the time from like different artists in Dallas, do you feel like support is a major issue in the Dallas music community?
No, I just feel like consistency has always been an issue. Consistency, like and yes, the way Dallas is, you have to kind of leave Dallas for people to kind of like, not like leave and move, but like they have to see you doing something somewhere else before they're like, oh, what's he doing? You know what I'm saying? Everybody's paying attention.
Right.
But it's like, we're not going to acknowledge it until we see you doing something.
I see.
Yeah, so I think that's the big issue is, we have to get off our high horse and just kind of acknowledge everybody.
Right.
And then on the artist side, people have to stay consistent. That's the biggest thing, is there's not enough consistent acts. And the people that have, like I said, gotten situations going, they're the most consistent if you've actually been paying attention.
Right.
So, Bobby's been consistent. Leon Bridges obviously was consistent. There's an array of people that were super consistent.
I think people kind of don't get acknowledged and they kind of get discouraged and they kind of give up.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to power through that and remain consistent and continue to put out good work. And then you could be, signed by Def Jam at some point.
And even the outfit, like, shout out to those dudes. I remember when I first got to the city, they were out here. That was 2011. I think they were going to PV. Don't quote me on that. And I remember they would drive up here for every time we had a show. Like when it was me, Justice, Bobby, and all those guys doing the whole Brain Gang thing. Like, I remember seeing the outfit up there all the time, and to see like their thing grow, I think is tight, because that's one of the more organic things I've seen around the city, is the outfit and what they have going. So shout out to those guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of shouting people out, we're real big on, we're called Cosign Magazine.
Right.
So we're real big on giving our cosign, giving our support, and showing love to people that we kind of think are making major waves. So is there anyone else you'd like to shout out right now?
Shout out to 88 Killer.
Okay.
That's my man's. Shout out to my wife, because she's important. And that's kind of it, man. That's, and then the whole city, just keep pumping, keep going.
That's dope. That's dope. I appreciate that. So just to wrap up here, I got a couple more questions for you. The last question, or next to last question, is what do you think about what's going on in Deep Ellum right now? As far as like the gentrification, a lot of venues not wanting to play rap or trap music after a certain period of time. Like what do you think about that?
I think that shit's trash. Because, our young black dollars are the ones that pretty much were fueling that area down there at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But it also goes to show that we need to have infrastructure. And somebody, one of these dope boys around the city or somebody, needs to go and open up a venue. That's just the short of it. I'm tired of seeing new grills and new chains go buy a building. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have to worry about those things. We don't have to worry about continuing to, play hopscotch in these white establishments. Like, that's ridiculous. We have enough dollars where somebody can put up some bread and go buy a building and get, make things happen.
Capital is the key to change.
Yeah.
I really, truly, honestly believe that.
Oh yeah, you can make anything happen with capital. Anything.
All right. My last question is: so after the EP, what's next? Where can people see you? What can we expect to see come from you next?
Yeah. So I'm in the process of trying to book some DJ gigs right now, and so you guys can just follow me on the socials and see where I'll be playing. So you can follow me on Instagram at ishd. That's kind of the big one. Twitter ishd1, and follow me, interact with me, send me music, especially. Like, I love listening to new music. Send all that. My new single Flashlight is out on all the streaming services. Be sure to pick that out. And August 31st, the EP Marina's Melody is dropping, so y'all be sure to stay tuned for that.
So this has been Cameron, Dallas Music Editor for Cosign Magazine, signing out. Be sure to check out my man Ishd's Marina Melody EP, dropping August 31st on all streaming platforms. Cosign Magazine, checking out.
We were lovers, all lovers.